First of all, thank you to Rowena for that presentation. I found that really interesting. I hope that most of you did as well. So my name is Pete. I'm primarily a journalist. In the last 10 years, I've written about 400 articles about wartime Ukraine, mostly for the Kiev Post, which is an English language journal of Kiev, but I've also been published in the Herald, the Telly, the Australian, a whole range of Australian publications as well. I want to join the acknowledgement of country. I don't do that perfunctorily. There's a wonderful word in a northeastern Victorian indigenous dialect. It's called Dadiri. Dadiri. And Dadiri means to listen deeply with positive regard, which I think is just wonderful that you can fit that meaning into just that one word. I think that a lot of good writing starts with good listening. You know, what you actually pick up in the street, what you pick up in your day-to-day conversations, what you hear in the world is what becomes beautiful on the page. And in line with that, I'm going to do things a little bit differently today. I might actually ask you a couple of questions. So for example, these are stories about wartime Ukraine. When you hear about the war in Ukraine and when you hear about Ukrainians, what are the kind of words that come up in your mind? What comes up? What words do you associate with the war in Ukraine?
Sad.
Sad. Resilient.
Tragedy.
Tragedy.
Devastation.
Devastation.
Bastardry by the Russians.
That's more than one word.
Captures what I feel.
That's very good.
It's invasion, and that's another aspect, isn't it? Because it's not something, it's not two sides. It's just
Invasion in a
that
physical
point.
sense, but also in a spiritual
Yeah.
sense, and an invasive sense.
And it's a beautiful country.
It is a beautiful country. So, expansionism or imperialism, etc., etc. Violence, absolutely. Anything else? So
Well,
all of those words resonated very deeply for me as a journalist, and that's why I set myself the task of writing those stories, of spending many, many months in Ukraine, talking to thousands of people, trying to convey their stories in the context that you just described. And you know what? I found something out. I found out that journalism has its limits. That when you try to do things entirely factually, when you just try to tell the stories objectively, what's, when's, how's, etc., you get to the end of a vocabulary. Then you're actually not telling the whole story. That you're telling the factual side of the story, but what you're missing out entirely on is the emotional side of the story. And that's why I decided to turn to fiction in the context of the drone, was to try to capture